The fourth judgment that I didn't tell you about is that the bad guys from Maine went back into the Maryland court 5 or 6 years after his youngest child reached the age of majority, and in their attempt to misrepresent what had happened in the procedure of the case, the Maryland judge was so angered by their misrepresentations and their lies that he dismissed the state of Maine's case with prejudice. And he was so angry about it that it may not mean anything if you're not a lawyer, but when a judge writes in his dismissal order in all caps, with prejudice, he's sending a message that you've done something wrong here and you shouldn't be back. Well, what we're asking the Supreme Court of the United States to do is look at this case and decide whether not one, not two, not three, but 4 final state judgments mean anything in a court of law, or if the bureaucracies can just do whatever they want and ignore that. And so we won't know until early October probably, but that's a case that's made it to the highest court in the land. And though I'm mightily discouraged by what our courts do day after day at state and federal levels from the bottom to the top, some of these cases are now reaching the U.S. Supreme Court, and that delivers a message to the people behind the Capitol building and off to the left is where our U.S. Supreme Court building is. They are beginning to get the message that there is something desperately wrong with what's happening in the family courts at the trial level. So I offer you a little bit of encouragement as a lawyer about that. I want to tell you one last bit of encouragement as an advocate, because if I thought this system would change, if I simply torched my law license on the Capitol steps in Austin, I'd give up my law license in a heartbeat. It shames me what the law has become and what lawyers and judges have become in the 25 years that I've become a lawyer, or been a lawyer. I'm going to continue to work within the legal system, but I'm really an advocate. And if I didn't have my law license, I'd still be advocating. And I want you to be aware that there's a TV show that Molly Olson, who will speak here on behalf of the Center for Parental Responsibility in a minute. I'm honored to be co-host of the show with Molly Olson. Michael Sieber, who is not here that I see, is the producer of that show. And it's streaming on the ACFC website at acfc.org. And about a year's worth of programming is there where you can go get information, and that show can actually be packaged for you to broadcast in your local area. And the contact information and all that is available on ACFC's website. But when we're able to actually produce television content of a decent quality that helps get this message out, we're raising awareness in a way that gets beyond the choir. So much of what we do in these efforts is dealing with and helping people who've been savaged by this system. We got to reach out to those people who have no idea what happens in the family courts and to make them aware, because we need them to affect change. We need people outside those who are hurt and wounded and walking wounded to be part of the political solution to this problem. But when we've got cases reaching the highest courts in the states and the U.S. Supreme Court, and more are coming because more people are fighting all the way to the top, and when we have TV programming and we have this event for the 2nd year in a row, there's no doubt in my mind that there's a rising tide of public awareness and the capability to get a message out there that we need to change this corrupt system. And there is no doubt in my mind that if you will stay the course, fight the good fight in your own situation, come back here next year and the year after that. I said last year, I'll be back here every year until this changes. As God is my witness, I will be back here every year to deliver a message as my right as a citizen of the United States of America to come here and seek redress of grievances for my government. I will be here every year, God willing, until this system is changed, not just a little bit, not just halfway, but from the bottom to the top.
We're going to be with you.
I wanted to close with a quote that is in a little mini DVD that we prepared that you can get over at the media room probably if we have enough of them to go around. But Michael Sieber found a quote, and I called him to see if I could get it verbatim. And instead of trying to paraphrase it and not getting it right, I'm going to tell you that Adolf Hitler was quoted as saying, basically, if you use children against people, they will surrender all manner of civil rights and let you do virtually what you will. Now, the quote itself is vastly more powerful than that, but that is exactly what our government is doing to ruin the family in America. They do things in the name of the family. To my great shame, the state of Texas Child Protective Services a few months ago, in the name of protecting children, went into a church compound, the polygamists that Michael McCormick alluded to, they're not mainstream people in our culture, so it's easy to pick on them, it's easy to pick them off. Texas Rangers and Texas Department of Public Safety troopers with automatic weapons and armored personnel carriers went into this compound and removed 400 children of all ages on the basis that there may have been polygamy, there may have been underage marriages, there may have been children born to minor brides. 400 children swooped in like a bunch of stormtroopers and took them out of there at gunpoint. There's a great organization north of Amarillo called Boys Ranch, which for 50 years has been a great foster home for orphan boys. 50 or 60 of these boys from that compound ended up at Boys Ranch, and I know the attorney that was appointed to represent them. I followed that case, and it ended up exactly the way I thought, which is in the end, the vast majority of those children were found to have been improperly removed from their parents. No basis in law, no basis in fact. And without trying to sound histrionic about it, when law enforcement officers with automatic weapons and armored personnel carriers will go into a compound like that and take those children, the day that anyone can come in the name of the law and take your children, if they haven't already done it, is not far behind. It is time to put a stop to this in a decisive way, and what you people here represent are the seeds that are the beginning of a political movement that will change this someday. And some of you are going to have a harvest that will blow your mind when that time comes. So there are other speakers that have worthy things to say, and I'm about talked out. I just want to close by saying again, I believe that every one of you is the seed of a great sowing, and someday there will be a great reaping. And someday we can gather here to celebrate changing this instead of demanding change. And I look forward to seeing you when that time comes. May God bless you, your children, may God bless your family, and God bless America.